G'day guys. As I said, I was gonna record a little snippet from my book at 9 a.m. For Melbourne time, so Eastern Standard Time. I really wanted to do this because I want to start actually recording the audio version of the book, and I thought it would be cool to interact with some of the followers of the MindMate as well, and try to just get a little bit of an understanding of what the book's all about. This is just my own personal journey. The MindMate is something it's a lot, in no real way kind of connected to me, apart from the fact that I've started it. But the MindMate is kind of a way to get an understanding of empowering dudes to live a more authentic lifestyle. And if I can put my expertise through training, through high intensity training, an understanding of mindfulness and emotional intelligence, as well as counselling on the side, then I'd feel really blessed and humble to do that. So that's what the MindMate is, and we've got a ton of stuff that's about to be released there. But this book kind of adds a little bit more of a context as to why I felt motivated to begin something like the MindMate. And it started very organically. It started as a way for me to just kind of do some YouTube videos and things, and express my thoughts on mental health, not necessarily related to my own experiences, but my thoughts with that. But then I wanted to kind of do something a little bit extra and really get this thing out there, which was my book, which has been very humbling, and I've been very excited to write it. So this was a little snippet from chapter 5. This is a little snippet from chapter 5. I think I mentioned briefly that I was going to go from the start and work my way down, but I thought I'd just go right into the book in a certain area and see what you guys thought about it. So this is from chapter 5 when I'm talking episode. Chapter 5 is called Panic Attacks and Counselling, Rock Bottom, and this is when I'm talking to my psychologist. I'd actually seen him a couple of years prior, but this is when I was talking to him back in 2014, and I was talking to him about all the other stuff that I was dealing with. So here we go. I was shown into a quiet room when I finally plucked up the courage to walk through the doors. I sat down in a comfortable chair. Michael turned to face me. "It's good to see you again, Tom," he said, sympathetically. I didn't respond. Although I knew what he meant, I certainly wasn't happy to see him again. Nowadays, I find it quite easy to talk about the issues and thoughts I was struggling with then, because they are no longer issues. I've accepted them for what they are. Back in early 2014, it was no easy task. I mentioned the hell thing first. It wasn't as challenging for me to talk about an irrational fear like this compared to talk about the possibility of entering a sexual relationship with stupid sexy Ned Flanders wearing nothing at all from The Simpsons, a genuine fear of mine at the time, my own parents and best friends. Again, anxiety doesn't necessarily have to make sense. Michael began writing down various things I'd say, and he also asked some more general questions about my lifestyle habits. Are you a smoker? Do you exercise? Do you take recreational drugs? That sort of thing. It wasn't as vanilla as that, by the way. This dude had style. We started talking about when these fears developed and why they were so intense. One of the first things you learn as an anxiety sufferer is how to act. Forget drama classes. If you've got something going on upstairs, you're on a one-way express train to Hollywood. In any case, you'll learn to keep a straight face when the waters turn murky. I say keep your money. Forget those fucking drama classes. Michael, clearly an expert in scouting out these sorts of actors, prodded me into coming clean about my recreational drug use and general level of stress. Lying in bed at night worrying about fire and brimstone isn't exactly normal, is it? But what was normal? I didn't know. It was in that first counselling session I discovered that my fears were very much my own, and that something had been brewing deep down for a while. Maybe the events on schoolies, along with the changes in lifestyle and transition into adulthood, were merely the catalysts. In fact, I'm almost certain that that's what they were. I also learnt about the sheer commonality of generalised anxiety disorders in society. I'm sure you've all seen those billboards. 1 in 4 people are clinically diagnosed, and I'm that little voice in your head, and so on. We all know anxiety is extremely common, but I hadn't really grasped the concept until I spoke to Michael. It's reassuring when you find out you're not alone. Anxiety is such an aggressively personal thing, and it's hard to see past that sometimes. That night, I wrote in my diary. I must again reiterate the invaluable tool that is diary writing. It is helpful talking to someone and have them make sense of what they may or may not be whirling around in your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for the perception of stressful emotions. But coming to your own senses is priceless. Writing it down in words clears the fog, opens the windows, and frees up all the bullshit so you can locate exactly where the stress lies. Sometimes it is hard to come to terms with the root issue. But if you're not into meditation and looking for something that works in a similar fashion, diary writing may just be the tool for you. So, in my book, I threw in a lot of my actual diary writing and diary and journal entries when I was going through this. So this was late 2013 through to sort of early 2016, and this is obviously one of them that coincides with what I just wrote. 28th of January 2014. G'day, Tom. I went back to Michael today and spoke to him about all the shit that's been happening of late. I feel like I'm going insane. I used to be a fun dude to be around, but now I suck. I'm going through life with a glass sheet in front of my eyes. I can see what's happening. I can feel it and talk, but I'm always looking back at myself through that glass sheet. It's a mirror. I can't stop analysing myself. I can't stop thinking about sexuality, death, mental illnesses, and the social anxiety is difficult to endure. I don't get it. I never had this before. Deep down, I know I like girls, and that I won't go to hell, and that I don't have schizophrenia, but I'm trapped in an internal jail of fear. The questions Michael asked me today sent me into a state of panic, that of which I have been unable to shake even until now. Logically, I can see I've got an anxiety issue, but I'm physically fine. I don't know. I'm confused and afraid, and I don't have the energy for anything. Last Friday, I chose to stay home and watch a movie instead of going to Louis' 21st because I was too tired. What a fucking crock of shit that was. It's been a rough day. Tom's Head signing out. So, that was the snippet of the book. It's very exciting, and the final edit's been done now, which is great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next part coming out. The final thing with this video that I wanted to give context to was some of the specific stuff that I had, and this is again only one in 7.5 billion stories, and there really are 7.5 billion stories because we all have this beautiful emotional, understanding of anxiety that keeps us safe, and it is a blessing to have such a survival mechanism ingrained within us, because without it, we wouldn't be here in 2018. So that's a good thing. But I was having a chat with a member from the CrossFit gym that I work at last night, and sometimes we have to look back and have to kind of figure out, okay, what things in my life are causing me to think this way, whether it's good or bad. And a lot of the systems I had in place in my life, they were very much unproductive, and they were as a result of me doing things and behaving in certain ways, and maybe talking in certain ways that one aspect weren't fulfilling my evolutionary needs. But they also just didn't coincide with who I was as a person. And I'm someone that has lots of energy. My mind travels all the time. And if you've met me at all before, you'll know that I'm someone that needs to do a lot of things all the time. So I need problems to solve. I need lots and lots of social integration, lots of talking, and I sometimes need to practice focus as well, which is something slightly difficult for me, but it's something that I try all the time. So when I was going through all this, I could look back at my life and think, well, there were lots of things that I wasn't satisfying that were paramount to my own personal well-being. I would sit and watch TV a lot. I'd train as hard as I could in CrossFit, and then I'd just do fuck all. I probably wasn't eating the best, and I wasn't practicing meditation. And so things like obsessive compulsive disorder became very prevalent within my life. And that led to a lot of anxiety. I'd struggled with anxiety as a kid, but OCD was something that really threw me for a six, and these things with OCD, the biggest one that hit me was something that's called sexual orientation OCD. And sexual orientation OCD is it's compulsive, obsessive thought. It's called puro as well. My sexual orientation OCD regressed into puro, which was just constant thoughts about the, I guess, notion of changing sexuality. It was something very strange, and I'd never heard of it. I thought, not that being a certain sexuality is anything to be, it's just who you are. But that notion of changing was the really scary thing. And I think that anxiety really hits home when it, I guess, questions your deepest values. And I guess a very deep value for me was something that I'd always grown up liking girls. So I thought that, that was a value that was ingrained in my head, from the moment I was born, as everybody else's is. Maybe I'm not sure how it kind of works, but that sexual orientation OCD and the compulsive actions of proving to myself that I like girls, and this was all this thing, like, constantly had to watch lesbian porn all the time to, like, prove to myself that I was that I was straight, and all these sorts of things. And that was something that was very hard hitting for me. The other one was OCD about life after death, and proving to myself that I was a good person, so that I would pick up rubbish all the time and throw it in the bin, and make sure that God was looking down on me kindly, so I wouldn't burn in hell for eternity. I just remember, actually, there was a kid that used to call me Tom, a burn in hell. That's classic. I just forgot about that. So that was what my OCD was kind of related to. And it's funny, when people talk about OCD, they always talk about, washing your hands and making sure you're super clean and all this sort of stuff. But no one talks about these other ones. And these ones are actually quite prevalent. So OCD affects a majority. I think if I've got my stats right, OCD affects roughly 2% of the US population. I think it's 2 or 10%, and then a further 10% or 2% of those OCD sufferers have what I had, which is sexual orientation OCD and OCD about life after death. And it's funny, I know this. When I was researching it, as any anxiety sufferer does, you go, fuck, like, what have I got? And you research, which is, I guess, makes the whole system worse, because you're proving to yourself that you have something going on there. When I was researching it, I couldn't find much at all about anything that I was going through, especially from, men that encapsulated, externally the look that I guess I give sometimes, which is, larrikin, talking about chicks and going out and making stupid dick jokes and things like that. Tattoos and things. So I couldn't really relate. So I guess to take this all back to what my book is about and talking about these things openly, and this is, just my personal story. The Mind Mate is something completely separate, which I'm very excited about. But what I'm hoping to do is actually kind of communicate this sort of stuff to other girls and guys going through this sort of thing, in the hope that they feel a little bit more within a community, because, as we all know, we all suffer from anxiety sometimes when it's very hard hitting. We feel those emotions and sense of isolation, because it forces you to become isolated, so that it keeps you nice and safe. Get yourself out of this cave. You're probably gonna, something dangerous could be in there, so run. It becomes very internalized and becomes very self-fulfilling, and that's why we have it. It's very important that we do. But I guess this is what I hope this book will be there for. It's something that's not really discussed within the inner sphere of anxiety and OCD, and it can be very confusing, but it's also been one of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me, with being able to call myself an author and call myself a business owner, and meeting the amazing people that I have along the way. And so I'm looking forward to it. Alright guys, thank you all for watching, and if you'd like to reach out to me at all, you can just message me on the MindMate. We don't have too many followers at this stage at the moment, so I'll be sure to respond, and I hope you have a good day. Bye bye.